All right, what's up, guys? We're going to be going over UFC 319, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Man, this is a fight that I think everybody has been waiting for. This is going to be a good one. Yeah, let's just get right into this whole thing, I think. First thing I want to go over are the big prospects of the card. These are young, exciting fighters who are not ranked yet. So they fought good opposition inside or outside the UFC, and they seem to be young, gonna be ranked one day, basically. And we got Chase Hooper first, who has gone on a 5-fight win streak, and he's won via dominant grappling. I mean, that's always been his thing, but he's been able to actually get those takedowns now, ever since getting knocked out by Steve Garcia. Can you connect? Thank you. All right, we're back. Again, he got knocked out by Steve Garcia in the first round. So after that, he became actually good at taking down people instead of just working on his jiu-jitsu. And he's doing pretty good. He's 25. He's already got 10 fights in the UFC. He's kind of an interesting prospect who will probably fight top 15 soon enough here. But does he have that high upside that he could be a champion? Who knows? I don't think so because of the striking, but it'll be fun to watch. And then, of course, we have Aaron Pico, who we do not have an image of from the UFC yet, even though it is Tuesday already of the fight week. I feel like you guys should be doing better than this. I feel like you should be getting that website updated more often, but nonetheless, whatever. Aaron Pico, former Bellator fighter, a lot of hype, exciting grappler, exciting striking style, a lot of power. He has a lot of wrestling accolades and really known for being young and exciting. So, yeah, that's Aaron Pico. Moving on, we got a bunch of these veteran names here for you. We got Edson Barboza, Jessica Andrade, Bobby King, Tim Elliott, Jared Cannonier, and Jeff Neal, all in that list. They're all just, at the twilight of their career. Come on, man. Why? Why does it keep doing that? Don't glitch out on me. You're not overheating, are you? No, you're not. You're not even connected. Thank you. All right, we're back. Man, I'm sorry. It's annoying me. Okay. Anyway, these are fighters who are at the end of their career. I feel like mostly, they're getting up there in age, and really, they're just here to be beaten by the next prospects of the division. They're all really good still. I mean, Jared Cannonier still ranked, Jessica Andrade still ranked, Bobby Green, Edson Barboza formerly ranked, pretty close. I think Tim Elliott's even still ranked. So, at or near the rankings, but they're just not at the prime of their career still. So those are those fighters. And then we have the fan favorites. I debated not putting Dricus and Khamzat here, but I did anyway, simply because, they are exciting fighters and they're fun to watch. It's just hard to call them a fan favorite when, they've done a lot of things that where people might not like them, Khamzat, or Dricus, on the other hand, he's just not. He's a fan favorite in terms of hardcore MMA, but would somebody outside of MMA really be a fan of him? I don't know, man. He's got good one-liners. He's a great talker on the mic, but nonetheless, fan favorites there with those two. Of course, we have Carlos Prates, Fighting Nerd. Actually, there's a second one on here. Oh, we'll talk about that later. Nonetheless, a lot of hype, especially after how he almost beat Ian Gary and has been dominant otherwise in the UFC. A lot of hype behind him. Michael Venom Page, lot of fan favorites there. I almost put him in the veteran names, but MVP's fan favorite simply because of his flashy striking style. I mean, that is fun to watch. And similarly, we got Kai Asakura, who, again, flashy knockout artist in a flyweight division where people don't get knocked out usually. I mean, that can be quite fun there. And people are excited to see what he's got next after facing Pantoja. Obviously, he didn't look too good, but then again, who does look good against Pantoja, right? Maybe Steve Erceg, but besides that, everyone's excited for Kai and his next upcoming fights here. So we move on to the fight of the night. And of course, this is very easy. This is Dricus versus Khamzat. This is just the highest level, most interesting matchup. It's a very interesting stylistic matchup as well. We got Khamzat with the dominant grappling, well-rounded DDP here as well. And most importantly, the thing I love most about this fight is that it is prime versus prime. These dudes are at the peak. They're 30 each, I think 31 maybe. But, they're not like an old Mayweather fighting somebody. I don't want to see you fighting tomato cans in your prime. Fight the best. And that's why DDP is a fan favorite. That's why we put him up there. Khamzat, fan favorite, just because of his dominant style, the way he talks on the mic sometimes. Anyway, besides the point, this is the fight of the night, the thing I am most hyped up for, as you can probably tell. So, moving on, we got our prelim predictions here. So, our first fight of the prelims I want to go over is Karina Silva versus JJ Aldrich, which actually isn't going to be that fight, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure she's fighting Barboza, but nonetheless, and there's going to be another fight before that too, I'm pretty sure. We'll put that to the side for now. What you got to know is that Barboza has lost to Miranda Maverick, who's a decent grappler. Karina Silva is a good grappler. And so I think Silva should be able to out-grapple Barboza or Aldrich. Doesn't really matter who the opponent is. Just a better grappler, more finishing potential. And more importantly, she has decent enough striking that these fights she's having aren't really that close. I like Silva in this, no matter really what the matchup is in this lower end of the division. So I'm going with Silva via decision. And then we have a very fun fight. I love this fight, and it being the second or third fight of the card here, I am really happy about this, man. Bryan Battle versus Ruziboyev. I mean, that is pretty good. That would probably make a main card opener of a fight night at a crowded arena, I think. Man, that is a fun fight. So, how do we see this going? First of all, they both fight middleweight and welterweight. So, they're kind of similar height and reach in that aspect, but Ruziboyev, he's fought and beat decent fighters in the UFC. I mean, he has a win over Bruno Ferrero, which that's a great win, right? But he's also got like 50 fights already, a lot of miles on his body there. He's a fun and exciting striker. Don't let the EV fool you. He's not a grappler. And Bryan Battle, he's on a 5-fight unbeaten streak. He's really been dominant in his striking style, other than his last fight versus Randy Brown, which that was a tough watch, and a lot of people think it's a robbery. But nonetheless, Battle has done well against good fighters, and Ruziboyev hasn't been able to beat that top level like he lost to Buckley. And do I think Bryan Battle is of the level of a Buckley? Honestly, I think Battle's striking is of that level, and I think his grappling is good enough to negate both sides. He won a fight against Randy Brown. That dude's ranked. He's good, or should be ranked at least. He's good. And I'm just going to put my trust in Bryan Battle, that he's going to put on a good show. He's got a lot of heart. He always puts on a good scrap. And he fights a little bit more in a style I can trust than Ruziboyev. And so I'm going to go at the Bryan Battle in this one via a very close decision. And this should get him a ranked fight. I know he missed weight last fight, which is probably why he didn't get a ranked fight. But if he makes weight, he should get a ranked opponent. Doesn't matter, middleweight, welterweight. He should be good there. Moving on. Somehow, some way, Edson Barboza is on the prelims of a card. I feel like his last fight, if I remember right, was literally a main event. But nonetheless, we put that to the side. A 39-year-old Edson Barboza is still fast for his age, and just, as always, an amazing striker. And Close, on the other hand, Jakar Close, he was on a 4-fight winning streak before getting brutally finished by Joel Alvarez in the first round. I believe that was in December, so it's been quite a little bit of time here for Close, but Close really makes fights a little close, right, as the name suggests. But seriously, Is he going to be able to do that against all of his other opponents, especially somebody who is a striker of the caliber of Barboza? I don't know. I don't see it happening that way. Close is good, but he's not that good. And I see Barboza just being able to kick at range and win a striking battle a lot easier than Close. I don't see grappling being something Close will be able to get going. I think he probably will do a lot of cage hugging, but Barboza should be able to handle this with a little more dominant, effective striking and win this in a close but pretty clear 29-28 decision. I think maybe round 3 Close is going to just be a cage hugger and win the round that way. Yeah, so moving on, we got Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez, and Hernandez is basically like a younger, more athletic version of Jim Miller, who Chase Hooper just dominated in the grappling. And even worse, Hernandez doesn't have those intangibles. He doesn't have the heart, I feel like, to beat somebody of the caliber of Hooper, especially somebody who will probably be in a couple of dominant positions in this fight. I see Hooper being able to win this via a dominant decision, maybe pulling off a submission. We'll see. I don't think Hernandez will get submitted, but I also can definitely see it, right? It's like a 45 to 55 percentage. I could see that happening. So yeah, either way, I just don't see how Hernandez would win this. He'd have to knock Hooper out, and I just don't think that's possible with the level that Hooper is at in his grappling at this point. So yeah, that's that one. Then we got Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Godinez. Andrade has seemingly fought everybody in the weight class, and every weight class, actually. It seems she's only 33 somehow. Like I was saying, though, I feel like she's got a lot of miles on her body. She's on the decline. I would feel like she used to be a little more in her prime, but at this point, not so much. And she does kind of show that in her record, right? 2 wins in her last 7, but she's faced good opponents. So hard there, while Lupi Godinez is kind of the opposite. She has 5 out of her last 7 fights as victories, but the opponents are just not of that caliber that Andrade has been fighting. And so with that, what do I really think is going to happen? Well, Godinez is kind of a decision specialist, right? She gets dominated by really good grapplers, and she's beaten by pretty good strikers too. So is Andrade either of those at this point in her career? Well, honestly, probably not, but Andrade has only lost really the best in the division, and Godinez is just not that. And so with, MMA math suggesting that Andrade should win because of their fight, both of these women's fights against Mackenzie Dern, I don't really see a reason why I should choose Godinez. I don't think she's going to out-decision Jessica Andrade. I mean, she's just too experienced, too good, fought too many higher-level opponents to lose to somebody like this. And yes, she might not be in her prime, but she's still a great fighter, and she hasn't lost to this level of opponent yet in the UFC. I don't think she's on that big of a decline. And so I see Andrade winning a decision here. 29-28 I'm going to go with. I think maybe a good first round from Godinez, but Andrade makes a lot of changes and fixes in her corner per round. So, nonetheless, moving on, Gerald Meerschaert versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I think I got that right. Oleksiejczuk. There we go. We got it. It took me a second to read it through, but he's a fighting nerd now. Oleksiejczuk is a fighting nerd. So, just a quick thought here. I mean, they're pretty good in the UFC, so he should win this one. But seriously, Meerschaert, he's fought a lot of tough fights, a lot of tough opponents, and he's made everybody have to work to beat him. He hasn't the greatest striking, especially recently. I mean, it was bad in his last fight. I think it was against Brad Tavares. I can't remember. Somebody journeyman of the middleweight division. Nonetheless, his grappling is good. So if Oleksiejczuk, who does get submitted ends up getting this on the ground with Mearshart, I could see this being a little bit of a worryful fight for Oleksiachuk. Jesus. Oh, my God. But yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, I just don't see Mearshart being the takedown artist that is going to take down Oleksiachuk. And so because of that, with the striking capabilities of Oleksiachuk, especially now that he's a fighting nerd, he's got good, solid 1-2s down the pipe. I'd see he should be able to win this via a first or second round KO. I'm going second round KO. Second round KO is better, I think. So that's that one. And on to the prelim headliner, we have Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira. Bobby Green, honestly, he's regressed a little bit here now that he's 38 years old, and he's older, but he's still a good striker. He has 3 out of his last fights he's lost, and the opponents have been good, but it's not a great streak to be on, right? Especially with the way he's getting knocked out, like spinning wheel kick by Rufi. Just not great look, right? And Ferreira, although he's kind of similar, he's only won 2 out of his last 5. His losses were to Gamera, Dariush, and Grant Dawson. So all ranked fighters and all pretty good grapplers there. And grappling really favors Ferreira, right? Now, MMA math suggests that Bobby Green should win this as he KO'd Grant Dawson. And yeah, but I just don't really see that being a thing here. Ferreira is good enough in the striking that he's not going to get knocked out by Bobby probably. And his grappling level is better than Bobby, and Bobby's been submitted by pretty decent grapplers himself. I mean, look at the Paddy Pimblett fight, right? So I just see Ferreira being able to get this done pretty easily. And I'm going to go with a first-round submission. I don't love that prediction, but Bobby Green, he just seems to be getting finished a lot lately, and that makes it tough to pick him. So that is that. Now we are on to our main card predictions. Yeah, let's get right into it, man. Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Kai is a young and powerful flyweight. And on the other side, we got Tim Elliott, who hasn't even fought in basically 2 years. Kind of feels like they're just bringing him out here just to do whatever. He's kind of just getting fed to the wolves, especially against somebody of Asakura's level of striking. But nonetheless, this, I know that Pantoja did a great job against Kai Asakura, and kind of, I don't want to call it dominated, but I would say dominated Asakura there. Pantoja did. But can Tim Elliott do something like that? I can see him trying. I don't think it'll work, but he could try. And so I'm going to go with Kai Asakura, and he should be able to finish this fight. I don't love that Elliott is so old, and I don't know how he's ranked either, because he hasn't fought in so long. But nonetheless, Kai Asakura should be able to get this done. I see almost highlight reel knockout, maybe like a third round highlight reel after a lot of damage. Kai should have this pretty easily. He has decent anti-grappling, and Elliott being so old in the division, I just don't see him being able to get this done, and the odds suggest just that much. So yeah, I'm going with Kai on that. Moving on, we got Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page, and this is a really, really tough fight to pick because MVP is such a long, rangy fighter, but against the top of the middleweight division, it is interesting, right? I mean, he doesn't really have any size advantage, and if somebody can grapple against him, man, it's going to be bad. I mean, look at what Ian Gary did, right? He made Michael Venom Page not look that great if you can get to him and grapple with him. But that's really the question, man. Can Jared get there? So Cannonier, he's fought really all of the true middleweights who are well-rounded in his last 3 fights, right? He fought Gregory Rodriguez, Kyle Borelho, and Nasruddin Imavov. So a lot of good, well-rounded fighters, and that is like all good competition, but he kind of wasn't doing great in all of them. I know he beat Rodriguez, but it was rough in that first round. and he was slow and just couldn't get it going. And against somebody like Michael Venom Page, that is not good. And MVP, man, I just see him. I know I hate this, but I see him doing a similar kind of thing that what Adesanya did to Cannonier. He's just too long, too rangy, and Cannonier won't be able to get close enough to make anything happen. And Cannonier's not a grappler, so it really doesn't factor here. I don't see him really trying to do that. Maybe he's 41 years old. He's getting old. He has a lot of miles on his body. Everything goes against me picking Cannonier, so I'm going with Page via decision. But if Jared can get close enough, if he can get to a grappling scenario, cage clinch even, I think it'll get really interesting then, and he could definitely knock out MVP, seeing as he is just massive for the division. And Michael Venom Page, I mean, he's not really a middleweight, if we're being honest. So, nonetheless, moving on to the feature fight of this pay-per-view, we got Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. And Jeff Neal, man, dude, I feel like he doesn't fight that often, but I guess it's only been a year, right? Nonetheless, Jeff Neal, man, he is a good striker. He's got a good, I should say, boxing. But against somebody of Carlos Prates' level, I don't think you want to box with him, right? Jeff Neal has a 75-inch reach. Prates has a 78-inch reach. That's really not good. And Prates fights long. It makes me not feel good for Jeff Neal here. Really, a left hand from Prates should be able to put Neal out, in my opinion. And I know that Jeff Neal went to a split decision with Ian Gary, and Prates got dominated basically, other than the 5th round where he nearly finished Gary, right? But I don't like Jeff Neal in this fight at all. I know people want to see an all-hands match, and that would be great and fun, but I think he's just going to get dominated. He can maybe try to get some smudge against the cage thing going, but I don't see Prates falling for that. And Prates, if he can get back to a little bit more heavy pressure striking, I see him knocking out Neal against the cage here pretty dominantly in like the 1st or 2nd round. So I'm going with Prates. Again, since it's being a all striking match, probably I don't love this in terms of odds, but I see Prates being able to win this fairly easily. So moving on to the co-main event, we have Aaron Pico versus Lerone Murphy. And Aaron Pico is a Bellator fighter who has great grappling credentials, at least American grappling. So what does that mean? Who knows what that means. But he has good highlights, great power. But unfortunately for him, I don't know how he is the favorite, but he hasn't fought the level of opponents that Lerone Murphy has. And it doesn't make me feel good about picking him. Murphy's somehow an underdog, and it seems like a pretty easy win to me for Murphy. He's shown that he can do good against good strikers who have power or who don't, who have good technique like Barboza, or power like Emmett or Ige. And his grappling is good enough that he can kind of negate anything that Aaron Pico probably is trying to do. And so really, Pico just... he doesn't have the experience against somebody of Lerone Murphy's level, and so I see Lerone Murphy being able to win this very easily, and then dominant 30-27 at range victory this whole time. Yeah, that is that one. Moving on, we have the main event. We're on to the main event, baby. DDP versus Khamzat. 2 people in the middleweight division who have never lost in the UFC. And both fighters just somehow find a way to win every time, right? But they do it in completely different ways. DDP, a lot of the time, looks like he's losing a fight until he turns it around and pulls out a victory. Khamzat, on the other hand, he always looks like he's dominating a fight, has everything under control, and just easy win for him a lot of the time. So what is this really? It's just a tough fight. What it comes down to is who can survive the 1st round. But, let's look at the wins of each person, right? DDP has the three great old guard horsemen of the middleweight division: Strickland, Adesanya, and Whitaker in his last three. Um, and, those are I don't even think that was last three, actually. I think he fought Strickland twice before he fought Whitaker, or after he fought Whitaker. But nonetheless, had he beaten Jared Cannonier, I mean, he would have completed the four horsemen of the old guard division of middleweight. But Khamzat, he's not of that old guard. He is the current generation of fighter. But similar to DDP, he's only fought the old generation. No, neither of these guys have really fought the generation that they both are from. And so it makes it very interesting because both of them are probably going to see a level of opponent that they haven't seen before. And that is very interesting, who will be able to adapt quicker in the fight. But again, Khamzat wins over Whitaker, Usman, and Burns. All look good on paper, but again, all three are kind of on the downsweep of their career at this point. I mean, Whitaker just lost RDR. Usman, I wouldn't say downsweep, but he definitely looked older against Buckley, and Burns is getting knocked out by Michael Morales. So, those wins are aging worse and worse, right? But it's a prime versus prime fight, and it really makes me appreciate what the UFC is doing here and putting it together. And yeah, DDP, man, he's a well-rounded fighter. He has good cardio. He strikes with quite a bit of power and can grapple well enough to win a couple of his fights on the ground. And Chimaev, he's just really a grappler, but he's shown he can strike with people against Burns or even Meerschaert, where he knocked him out in like 10 seconds there. So can DDP survive the first two rounds? Does he have that Marab inside of him to kind of beat Chimaev, similar to how Umar was beaten? Well, honestly, I don't see DDP being able to pull off the craziness here. Chimaev will get this fight to the ground at some point, and will DDP be able to survive that pressure and pace? It's seen him make too many mistakes, technically, and that's where I see DDP losing, unfortunately. If DDP can somehow, some way get this to the third round, I actually probably favor him over Chimaev, but it's not going to get there. And unfortunately, DDP is making close fights with the old generation, I should say, of the middleweight division. And Chimaev is not. He's pretty dominant in a lot of these fights. And so I just see Chimaev being able to pull off a rear naked choke in the first round, probably. Maybe a Darce. We'll see. But yeah, I would love for DDP to make this fun, but it's not happening. So first round sub for Chimaev. Moving on. This fight card literally has like nobody at or above minus 350 favorites. So not very many things you can parlay here in terms of pretty confident predictions. I mean, I have no confident predictions on this card. So that's that, right? But if you do parlay, you can make some big money, right? You can see I parlayed all the favorites. You get $8,000. I mean, obviously probably not all favorites are going to win, but point still stands that if you choose an underdog, it's going up even more no matter what. So I think this would be a good one to parlay to get good big money, but again, you're probably not hitting those parlays, so to each their own, right? But let's move on to the card review. Really, all you need to know is that this card is good. I gave it 8.5 out of 10. There are just like two fights or fighters where I'm like, why is this on here? But otherwise, almost all of them I'm looking at and I'm like, I know that guy. Oh, that guy's interesting. He's fun. He's a prospect, right? So a lot of fun cards there. And big fights, there's 5 of them on the card out of 11 fights. That's a lot. There are like the most ranked fighters I've seen on a card in a long time. So yeah, really, really fun. Really should be really good card. This is, I think, probably the best rating I've given a card all year. Granted, I started in Atlanta, so that was probably, I would say, May time, June, actually. So past 2 months. But highest rating I've given a card. Pretty good stuff there. And, of course, you can see my confident predictions and all my predictions. I would say 60 out of 80 is about 75% odds there. So pretty good, pretty good. I feel like I'm doing good on my picks. So yeah, that is UFC 319. Those are my predictions for this card, and I hope and pray I get to see this live in Chicago. I'm probably going to try to do some updates there, maybe post some videos. We'll see. We'll see what we got in store there. But yeah, UFC 319. Those are my predictions for this card. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.